Welcome to the Opinionated Monsters. I am Scott McClellan of Carnival Diablo.
I'm Sanzi from OttawaHorror.com.
My name's Kevin. I'm the Zombie King from ZombieInfo.com.
And I'm Jessica, damsel in distress and distressing damsel.
So, what are we talking about?
Today we are talking about, scariest monsters.
You mean aside from us?
Yes.
I'll start. For me, all-time favorite movie monster, the werewolf. Unquestionably, the werewolf. And I know, I get that a lot. I get that a lot from them. To me, it's a great monster. There's something wonderfully frightening about the concept of, losing control of. Anyone can become this werewolf, and you go on a murderous rampage without realizing it. Even the man who, says his prayers at night can become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms bright. It's that concept of anybody. It could happen to anybody. It's the original disease. Going all the way back to, 1930, whatever it was with Lon Chaney and the Wolfman. This concept that it's out of your control and you become this murderous, rampaging beast. And plus the fact that the flip side of that is, of course, that you're totally absolved of it. It's not my fault, I'm a werewolf.
Yeah,
I can kill you and it's not my fault, I was a werewolf.
I can't be afraid of a monster that wears a flea collar.
What I like about werewolves is it's sort of like a beast within,
Yeah.
It could be anybody. And of course it's so easy, all you have to do, depending on the source material, you're bit by a werewolf, you're a werewolf.
But that's it. And I've got to say too, in it, as much as I love the werewolf, there are so few good cinematic representations of it. The original Wolfman, American Werewolf in London, Dog Soldiers, and of course the brilliant Ginger Snaps. That's my pick.
So for me, that's not really what I consider scary. Threatening, yes, absolutely. But for me, I think the scariest is, and I know what you guys are going to say, but vampires. All right, so I'm the first person to admit that vampires are definitely kind of the butt of jokes lately. I think this is because they've kind of shifted from, vampire horror into action movies or, more recently, teen romances. But besides this, we have centuries of vampires basically just scaring the crap out of people. First of all, you've basically got this sort of visceral reaction, this, primal fear of a nocturnal predator. You can basically guarantee any vampire you meet wants to eat you. And in my experience, most people don't want to be food. And I think that's part of what makes vampires so scary is that they have this disregard for human life. They have this belief that no matter what, their life is more important than yours. On top of that, take a look at their defensive skills. At first glance, you can't necessarily tell that a vampire is a vampire, but you can bet that as soon as they know you're there, they can tell you're going to be their next meal. So vampires as archetypal other tend to represent an inversion of conservative social mores. They represent a breakdown of morality, of sexuality, a seduction and corruption of the innocent. Take a look at the movie Dracula. It's actually a metaphor for immigration in the 1930s. You look at the movie The Hunger. It's in response to the 1980s AIDS crisis in the USA. Ultimately, vampires serve as a metaphor for whatever hot-button topic needs to be discussed at that point in time. And that's why vampires in film are not going to die.
Yeah, well, right now, vampire films are a metaphor for fishing lures because apparently they both sparkle in the daylight. I'm just saying, I have if I can't be scared of something that if I mess up their hair, they'll run away screaming, I don't know. The vampire itself doesn't really scare me that much.
What scares you?
That's a damn good question. The most frightening monster in the world. Aliens. Of every type. Now, I must admit, in 1979, when I saw the first movie Alien, the thing that got me most frightened about it was the fact that it had a gestation period. It started out as one small thing that attached to a human face. that changed over time. And that scared the hell out of me because we thought that maybe we were dealing with something that was small. Now, that also was a lot the same as the movie The Blob, in the sense that The Blob started as something a little small, and it got bigger and bigger as it ate. That frightened me also. But I think that the thing that makes the aliens so scary is the fact that they are capable of ingesting us or even becoming us for their own nefarious purposes, such as in the movie The Thing. And I hated the idea that my head could sprout legs and and tentacles and things like that.
So for
It
me,
was
I-
1980
I prefer
something.
that sort of like slow invasion over, the more typical, there's aliens invading from space. Because what do they do when they get here? They blow up recognizable landmarks. What's the tactical planning with that? Because you come to Earth,
Demoralize.
disarm us. Aliens, disarm us.
Well, then you get Superman
and don't
3.
wait. If you're watching this, do not wait for us to counterattack.
Why are you telling them?
Look, I don't care what Jeff Goldblum says. This is not a chess game.
She does care
We don't take
about what Jeff
turns.
Goldblum says.
I do. I
she
really
loves
do.
Jeff Goldblum.
That is the only
This is
time-
a dirty little secret.
That is the only time
okay?
I will ever say that. But we don't take turns. That's not how we fight a war.
So, to me, a very scary monster is a monster that is unpredictable and not human in thinking at all. Instead, a creature that is so beyond our capacity of understanding that it is making us wonder what the hell is out there. That is the most frightening thing in the world. And that is the most frightening monster to me.
That ties into actually my biggest fear. My biggest fear is actually the human mind. Simply put, you can be scared of vampires, you can be scared of werewolves, you can be scared of aliens. You got an interesting take on the alien thing, and I gotta kind of go with that. It's very solid, very nicely done.
Thank you very much.
I'm just saying. But what we do is we essentially, create the things that we're afraid of, and that sense of the unknown that that you don't see, it basically gives you that big chunk of fear. For example, if you look at an older movie, the Changeling, it's a Canadian movie, George C. Scott. I mean, you actually get afraid of a rubber ball because of the way it was introduced, and we allow our minds to sort of manufacture that fear for us. So it's kind of a blanket fear, but we have a very real connection to it in all things. There's a lot of horrible things that happen in the world, but when we take in a movie or try to find something that scares us, it's very difficult to really channel in what those things might do to push your buttons. Another thing about the human mind is unpredictability. You can't predict what a human being or a nemesis essentially in these sort of situations is going to do. Earlier you had said, that there was a sort of human condition amongst werewolves and vampires and that sort of thing. And I mean, people would think because I am the Zombie King from zombieinfo.com that I would pick zombies because they're us and there's nothing more terrifying than a human being. Granted. But zombies are actually sort of an automaton. What creates the creeping, deadly fear of those that monster essentially is what we manufacture or the story we put behind that eating machine that is coming to basically rip our faces off.
You're doing a cop out. You're saying horror in general scares me rather than
No,
a monster.
I'm saying your mind
the
scares
mind, but
me.
you're saying the mind that manufactures the terror from the vampire or that or that or that. That's saying I like horror. Well, obviously, like horror.
that's
You're
it.
sitting here on a freaking
that's-
podcast talking about horror.
And that's the thing that I'm having a problem with. Because really, if you're going to be scared of a monster, humans can be monsters of sorts, but I don't believe that we are that scary outside of the fact that in reality we are.
It's not a cop-out. It's not a cop-out. It's more of a blanket response to things that terrify me. The way my mind works is like, I can't choose one favorite horror item. I know I ripped on you a little bit about, liking vampires. I think, that there's some vampires I like. I know I ripped a little bit on the whole werewolf thing. I'm kind of behind you on the alien thing. That is almost similar to what I'm saying. It's that sense of the unknown. That's what makes me afraid.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I still say that's a cop out though, because that with whatever you refer, that's what makes me afraid of werewolves, him afraid of aliens, her afraid of vampires.
Yeah, so I win. I didn't cop
So you're
out.
saying
I just win.
okay, then you're saying you're afraid of everything.
No, I'm saying everybody else is afraid of everything, and I'm afraid of their mind
Oh, okay.
because it might push them over the edge, and then I'm.
We'll agree to disagree.
All right.
All right, that's another show. Let us know what scares you in the comments section below.
And you can check us out on our Facebook page. Somewhere down there, there's a link, probably in the see more about. And you can subscribe because more episodes are coming, whether you want them or not.
See you soon.
Basically, what I'm saying is, you know, the mind really encapsulates all of your fears. And so essentially, really, I win.